Chapter. The first item on our agenda is the approval of minutes from 3 of our prior meetings, 11/9 of 2021, 11/23 of 2021, and 1/11 of 2022. Any revisions or corrections necessary for the minutes? If not, I'll take a motion to approve all 3 sets. Motion from Watson. Is there a second? Second by Martins. Discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None are opposed. Those minutes are approved. Item number 2, discussion and possible action on the Second Amendment to the Development Agreement, Second Amendment to Real Estate Mortgage, and First Amendment to the Real Estate Mortgage Subordination Agreement for River Life Wausau LLC, Phase 1. And you've got some information in the packets on that particular item. Any background on this that we need, Marianne, that we need to talk through, or? Liz, do you have anything that you want to walk the committee through on that River Life subordination?
No, not really. It's just basically they requested that that we take a slightly more junior position so that they have that access to capital, and that's
Right,
there's
and
really there's nothing else. to
It
that.
really opens up their ability to borrow and finance, correct?
Exactly. yeah.
Okay. Committee members, any questions on that item? If not, do we have a motion to approve? Motion by Martins. Is there a second? Second by Watson. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So we'll record 1 opposed, and that item passes. Item number 3 is discussion and possible action on an application for a CDI grant through WEDC for the Children's Imaginarium. This particular item also comes to us from Community Development. This one would be a WEDC grant where we would be acting as a flow-through for those funds, but the Imaginarium would not be accessing taxpayer dollars or levy dollars. So this is really just helping that application get off the ground and then helping them manage that. Does anyone have questions on that particular item? If not, is there a motion to approve the grant? Motion by Herbst. Is there a second? Second by Martins. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Alder Ryan, did you vote? Opposed?
No.
Are you voting no?
My vote is no.
Okay. So then let the record show that that item has passed 4-1. Item number 4 is discussion and possible action regarding a budget for discretionary performance incentives. This item comes to us from on a recommendation from the HR committee. Does anyone have questions on that particular item at all? This would establish a budget for discretionary payment and payroll incentives to be replenished with vacancies when there are some, from the looks of the packet. And do we have a motion to approve that item? Motion by Watson. Is there a second? Second by Herbst. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Deb, I'm opposed.
Okay, then that item will also pass 4-1. Item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding a carryover request for funding of the Stone Mill building. You'll recall that we have disassembled and in storage a historic building that was taken from the site that is currently occupied by CVS Pharmacy. And part of our South Riverfront plan includes design and reconstruction of that building for future use. And it looks like this request would allow us to repurpose some funding to begin some engineering and design for that process. Jamie is with us from the Park Department if you have any questions for her on this item. Or Jamie, do you have anything you want to walk the committee through? Come on up.
Just a couple things.
Sure.
Thank you. So this back in, I just found, and I apologize, I have to say I misspoke in my memo that it's not a capital improvement fund. It was a supplemental budget request. Now, I guess I don't know if that's any different. but it was a 2020 supplemental budget request that we did for Barker Stewart Island, and it included kind of the whole plan for Barker Stewart Island with the vegetation control. That's where we got the goats. We got a machine to help with invasive species. And then part of that was the vision that this building would go there. So that funding has hired an architect. We've gotten so far on the plan, and that's when it went to committee. And they decided that the island wasn't necessarily the best place for this large historic building because of parking and access and stuff like that. So it did come out of the Parks Committee. This is the one part I wanted to point out, that of the Parks Committee, that we still do have the desire to complete a master plan for the island. That may be on a much smaller scale, and whether or not that needs much funding or not with an outside counsel, that we haven't decided that yet. But if we take this money that was designated for Barker Stewart Island, and then in the future we want to still do a master plan, the department will come back then for a future project of Barker Stewart Island if this funding is not there. Otherwise, we would take this funding and continue that, but that means we would have to find other funding for the final design of this mill building, so.
Sure.
But staff is recommending that we just move forward with the mill building design and get it at least designed, so that in the event that we can repurpose it somewhere, we have all the planning ready to go and it can be reassembled.
Sure, okay. And I think as plans for that South Riverfront area come together too, it might be good to have that plan complete. So, committee members, any questions on that item? Is there a motion to approve the funding for the stone mill building? Motion by Herbst, is there a second? Second by Watson. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Deborah, we are recording you as in favor or
Aye.
opposed? Was your vote aye or nay?
Aye.
Okay, so that item will pass unanimously. Thank you. Item number 6 is discussion and possible action regarding the November 2021 General Fund Financial Report. And we've got that report. We'll turn it over to Mary Ann to run over the high points of that.
Yep, so now this is through November, and we are kind of trying to wrap up some of our December transactions. Obviously, we're always on a delay waiting for final invoices. I am predicting that we will have annual surplus this year generated from the 2021 operations. When we look at the revenues, the first category that's showing that we're not meeting our budget is payment in lieu of taxes. That is one area where we send out the invoices in the December of 2021, and so the payments don't come in until this month. And so we likely will see that meet budget. We had receivables most likely to book in our police department for grants, and so the grant area, as far as other grants, will likely meet budget as well. Franchise fees, I know we just got a December payment in today, so, while we might not make the full budget based on last year, we only had $255,000 worth of revenue, we definitely will most likely exceed where we are up to this point. You can see our permit revenue is, almost double what our budget was. And then licenses, we are expecting a shortfall. If you recall, we still provided liquor licenses for restaurants and bars at half price this year, so due to the COVID hardship. Fines and forfeitures, that has been a negative trend for us where we've been seeing these revenue source go down every year. So we are pleased to see that it is, while it's still short of budget, it is a $50,000 increase from last year. Public charges, there will be additional receivables booked for these. This would be our last ambulance invoices that go out, and then Parks and Rec, the county is always a month or two delayed for settling with us on those revenues,
Sure.
though we likely will fall short in that area. And then the city departments category is some final allocations that we have to do. One area that is significant that we'll fall short on is the interest, and we've been reporting this each month. So, and we've experienced a similar phenomenon, I don't know, quite a few years ago now. If you recall, we are required to adjust our investments to market. And when we do that, we record that through the interest income. So when we are in a situation where our investment holdings have a high interest rate and someone is willing to pay extra for that, it basically moves the interest that we're going to earn into earn in the future into the current period. So back in 2020, if you recall, you can see we had $700,000 worth of investment income last year. That is because interest that was earned, that would be actually received in 2021, was recognized in 2020 because interest rates were falling and our investments were earning a higher rate.
Yes.
So while our actual will probably not be a negative by the end of the year, we still will have very little in the way of interest earnings. I remember the last time we experienced this, just to try to put it in perspective, I went and looked at other government entities' financial statements, and like the city of Appleton had $1 million loss in their investment
In their
income.
interest? Sure.
For a year, because it's all just when you're recognizing the revenue versus when you're receiving the revenue. But like I said, we still are predicting that our revenues will exceed expenses for the year. So if we look at the expense category, again, this is through November, you can see that unclassified is, oh, shoot, I looked this up too, is the only area, and I believe these are claim-related expenses that we experienced. But the major areas of savings that we're showing is in Public Works, which has a $1.6 million balance at the end of November. Again, Parks and Rec is delayed in reporting. So I'm thinking that our surplus for the year 2021 will be about $500,000 surplus.
Okay. All right. Anyone have questions for Mary Ann about the report? All right, and we'll have a year-end recap probably for next month. So,
Yes.
all right, with that, we'll place her report on file. And that is the last item on our agenda, so I will take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Watson, second by Martins. Members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
We'll stand adjourned then, and Common Council will start in this chamber then at 6:30. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.